Police departments all over the nation are on edge tonight. To join in on this conversation of violence against police, we're joined now by Hamilton County Sheriff Jim Hammond. Sheriff Hammond, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Waking up today, learning of the news, what are the first things that come to your mind, sir?
Well, you know, of course, we, like everybody else, say, how long can this go on? And in particular, with law enforcement, we know that our brothers out there every day, and it can happen any moment. And then it becomes family. Every single life matters no matter what. And we have got to remember one thing as a society. If we're going to make friends with criminals, or not make friends with the police, we better learn to make friends with criminals. Police are not out there to deal with people, whether they're white, black, or whatever. They're out there to save human lives, to protect human lives. And we've got to value the lives of our law enforcement. If people feel like the police need more training, be with them, help them. But I can tell you right now, the law enforcement as an occupation receives probably more training than about any other discipline you can think about.
And we were talking a little bit before this, and you were saying we're going to have to start changing the way we do things.
We do. We have to change that way. We've got to be, we're already more introspective in what we do with the cameras we now use, with the training we now use, with the drones we now use. Everything is recorded, and we can always check the facts. I think one of the biggest frustrations I have as a police official is that people don't give us enough time to do the proper investigations to determine, did we do the right thing or did we do the wrong thing? If we have an officer that commits a criminal act in the course of his duty, he will be prosecuted. But if he is justified in what he did, the facts speak for themselves.
What are you telling your officers today? You know, what do you say to your officers before they walk out the door every day, knowing that this is going on right now in our nation?
Well, first of all, we tell them to hug their family. Then we tell them to go out there and be very cautious in the profession that you were trained to do the right thing. Even with all that, it is very hard to protect against an assassination attempt against a police officer. We're telling our officers don't gather in groups. We're giving them some other orders about waiting on their backups, things of that nature. But we're telling them to be safer and do a safer way of policing. What
do you think is the solution? What are you telling your officers today?
Well, again, we're telling officers today, obey your training. Learn how you approach. Every call is a serious call. Don't ever have your backup stand down until you know the seriousness of a situation you're working in. And there's other things that I'm not privy to talk about that we're working on.
Sheriff, are you in fear of your life? Are you in fear of other officers' life, knowing?
Well, you know, one of the interesting things about being my age, you can't stop and say, you know, fear for your life. You got to do the job that you're trained to do, that you've accepted. Certainly, I want to do the right thing. Certainly, I want my men to be safe out there. So I fear for my men. I fear for our community, even though I've got to tell you, we get a lot of backup from this community.
Any last-minute thoughts, Sheriff?
Be safe.
All right. Hamilton County Sheriff Jim Hammond joining us today on the recent events in Baton Rouge. Sheriff Hammond, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.